Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. So Disney's live-action Lilo and Stitch has been doing pretty well at the box office. Full disclosure, I have not seen the film yet, but many people suspected it was going to do very well for Disney, considering the fact that Stitch is such a popular character. Stitch has had multiple movies and animated shows and merchandising, and now they're already talking about making a sequel to this live-action remake. I'm kind of surprised they didn't do Stitch earlier, honestly, just considering how popular he is. But here's an article from the Wall Street Journal talking about this. So it's titled, Why Disney's Lilo and Stitch is Set to Beat Mission Impossible at the Box Office. The movie's mayhem-causing alien is a merchandising powerhouse. Now a live-action remake is poised to be a big financial win for Disney. Admittedly, I'm not a big fan of these live-action remakes, and I would definitely prefer that they just produce more original material, but maybe the success of the live-action remake will mean we'll get more Stitch-related products too, that are not just live action. I wouldn't be against that. I did really enjoy the Lilo and Stitch cartoon that was on Disney Channel with all of his cousins, and maybe if they're doing a sequel, they'll show the cousins in that movie too, so that might be kinda cool. But let's just get into the article. Lilo and Stitch has grown from a modestly successful animated movie into one of Disney's most popular franchises in toy stores, on streaming, and in social media memes. Its titular alien is such a Hollywood powerhouse that he has made Tom Cruise an underdog at the box office. Yeah, I do think that Stitch alone has the ability to just carry the box office, even though I do think that this movie is probably not going to be anywhere near as good as the original, but it's Stitch, so it'll likely do well. Disney's live-action Lilo and Stitch was originally positioned as a family-friendly Memorial Day weekend alternative to Cruise's big-budget Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Polling now indicates that the film will open to more than $150 million in the US and Canada from Thursday night through Monday, compared with around $80 million for Mission Impossible. It is also expected to be number one in most foreign markets. I also think it being a family-friendly movie with a very marketable main character is just going to be hard to compete with in general. That would make the movie, which cost just over $100 million to produce, a big financial win for Disney and provide a welcome boost after its Snow White remake bombed in March. Disney has been chasing that safe box office return, and for a long time that was their classic fairy tale remakes, Aladdin, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, but they ended up driving them into the ground, and also being really unfair to those original movies, so now they're coasting back into that safe box office returns. And as a profit-driven company, I don't necessarily fault them for that, but I just worry that they're going to run this into the ground too. But back to the article. Disney is so confident in Lilo and Stitch that it's already thinking about sequels. It feels like it's going to work very well, and it's the kind of property that lends itself to more. Well, definitely, they have like 3 animated shows and a bunch of animated sequels already. Anyway, fans' passion for the property centers on Stitch, an alien who causes mayhem after he crash lands in Hawaii and is adopted by a girl being raised by her older sister. Disney's research shows the character is particularly beloved by young women who grew up watching the original film and girls who recently discovered it. Yeah, Stitch is that nice blend of cool and cute, which makes him very marketable, and again, I am surprised they haven't already done Lilo and Stitch, and at least his design doesn't look too bad in CGI, compared to like what we saw with Pleakley, who looked a little bit creepy, I guess, in live action, and they're also just removing Gantu entirely. But Disney has put Stitch on virtually every product possible, from dog collars to hair turbans to a pineapple-shaped goblet. It has released a slew of new merchandise ahead of the movie, aiming to avoid a repeat of 2013's Frozen, when parents couldn't find enough Elsa dresses for their daughters. Yeah, I guess sometimes it's hard to know what's gonna be popular, but considering the fact that Stitch was already proven, I don't think it was that much of a stretch to make a lot of merchandise for him. There already is a ton of merchandise for him anyway, and this is just an excuse for more. Retail sales of Stitch products grew to $2.6 billion in Disney's 2024 fiscal year from $200 million 5 years earlier, so that's a huge jump. According to the company, Lilo and Stitch is now one of Disney's 10 best-selling franchises. This is why I was saying I was surprised that they waited till now to do a live-action remake, just considering how big Stitch is. Those numbers helped convince Disney to remake the film, a decision that further stoked its popularity on store shelves and streaming. Since announcing the remake, we've seen the thing explode from a Disney Plus and consumer products perspective, says Bergman. So they remade Pete's Dragon back in I think 2017, but they waited till now to do Lilo and Stitch? I'm just saying, did they need convincing to make Pete's Dragon? I guess that's technically not a live action remake since the original was technically in live action. It was just a live action animated hybrid, but regardless, I'm just saying. The original Lilo and Stitch grossed $273 million in 2002, less than forgotten Disney animated films from the same decade such as Chicken Little and Bolt, but as more people discovered the movie on Disney Plus, along with direct-to-DVD sequels and an animated series, its popularity grew. On Disney Plus, streams of Lilo and Stitch content now total about 546 million hours, on par with The Little Mermaid. So is that all Stitch content, I guess? Still impressive numbers. Lilo and Stitch was originally part of a slate to direct-to-streaming films that Disney began developing ahead of the 2019 launch of Disney Plus. It abandoned that strategy after learning films are often more popular on streaming after playing in theaters. In the case of Lilo, the change also means Disney is set to make hundreds of millions of dollars that it would have otherwise left on the table. And that's great for them, but they're also leaving a lot of money on the table by abandoning original projects and also because of half-baked properties like Wish. It does seem like people really gravitate towards the original concepts in that movie, just given all the fan projects there are of it. But at least they found a formula that works for Lilo and Stitch. But I do worry that they're just going to fall into the same routine while also mismanaging their other projects. But regardless, let's move on. Ads for the new movie have focused largely on chaos caused by Stitch, who one person close to its production described as Deadpool for kids. That's an interesting comparison. A reference to Marvel's foul-mouthed anti-hero, the alien ran onto the field in the Super Bowl ad and chews through his movie's logo on billboards. This is a character that can break the fourth wall, said Disney's president of marketing, Asad Ayaz. I don't think he ever does that in the movie, though. Live-action remakes of animated classics have been a mainstay of Disney's release slate for more than a decade, don't remind me, with hits including The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. A live-action version of 2016's Moana is set to release next year, but updating animated classics for modern audiences has sometimes proven tricky. I mean, Moana came out in 2016. Does it really need to be updated for modern audiences? But anyway, Dumbo was planned for animals that didn't talk, and Snow White ran into a political minefield over its alleged wokeness. I've already gone on a lot about Snow White, so I won't bring anything up here, but I still think Disney brought that on themselves. As Disney's youngest animated film to get a remake, Lilo and Stitch required few changes, Bergman said, unless you count Moana, which is coming out next year. One of the only differences fans have noted is that the human Lilo is bigger than her dog-sized alien friend. I guess they were the same height in the original, but I don't think that's really a big issue. My issue personally is that they're removing major characters and basically rewriting entire portions of the film, along with the fact that it just doesn't have the same charm as the original, but I'm just one person. Clearly it's found its audience. I'm just saying there's a lot of differences, it seems. Again, I haven't seen the movie, but I'm just saying. Like many Stitch fans, Damian Ramirez Gonzalez plans to see the remake, but is nervous about potential changes to the film. He says stand out among animated fairy tales for its contemporary American setting and subtle subversiveness. I like how it's one of the most original ideas Disney has had in many years, the 19-year-old student from Wisconsin said. And it looks like that's where the article ends, which seems a little abrupt, but okay. Yeah, I think Lilo and Stitch is a Disney classic, and I do think that this remake is largely a cash grab, but it looks like it's certainly worked out for them. I wonder where it'll end up ranking in this graph here. I'm sure it'll definitely be at least in the top half. I don't know if it's gonna break $1 billion, but given Stitch's star power, I probably wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And I wouldn't be totally against live action remakes if they weren't so in your face all the time. I mean, they really pump these out, and I think that their original movies should take precedent over these live action remakes. But again, they're looking for easy money, and that's certainly the case here. But who knows, maybe someday they'll remake Wish and actually make it good. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Stitch live action remake doing well. I don't think anyone's surprised, but it would be nice to see a little more heart from Disney too. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. Before I go, I want to give a shout out to our members: Tyrant Carnivore, Shiny Orc Boy, Depth Charge Media, Samaru163, Gabby Hime, Verdant Range, JVR, Equestron, Norman Sweet Cream, Way Beyond Coincidence, Hunter Rose, 80s Nostalgia Guy, Felix Bam, Lucas Geist, J Draws, Meowsers, Sky, Philip, Isaac Martinez, Garcia XV Legend, Tobias Weller, Bandito Bane, Mac B909, Dakari the Professor, Todd McCaffrey, Omni Fair, Cavalcoj, Strider Exile, Phil C, Killer Bomb, Slawa Saporiguez, Entwined Boot 301, Griffin of Might, Frankie Camarillo, Datadyne Executive, Crimson Phantom, Jin the Goblin, Papa Hud 69, The Gengar King, and Daunter. Thank you for the support, and if you want to become a member, you can hit the join button next to the subscribe button. We also have Buy Me Coffee if you want to support us that way. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and that part's free. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.